Hi, Muchismo Eugene. Welcome to another video from Exit Strategy. Please like, subscribe, share, give a thumbs up to this video if you found it helpful, and pass it on if you believe someone else will benefit from it. I would appreciate that. Now let's talk about, if you're gonna drink, drink alone. Empaths, if you're gonna drink, drink alone. I would encourage you just not to drink at all. And this is in light of the fact that you experienced something unlike anything you will ever experience in life, and that is a narcissistic, abusive relationship. I was an alcoholic prior to 97, going to prison. I've talked about this a million times. I drank from the age of 17 to 27. I adopted that in my lifestyle just because I saw other people doing it. I didn't gravitate to it so much because it was what I wanted. Looking back, I just believe I just kind of adopted it as a way of life because people around me were doing it. And I think many of us, that's how we gravitate to things that really don't mean us any good. Some people will argue even now today, that there's not a problem with alcohol. But I would beg to differ that it's more destruction at the hands of alcohol as a result of consuming alcohol than there are just hearty old drinking, eating, and being merry. There'll never be numbers to really give us a vivid idea, but it destroys families from the inside out. And so even the Bible say, drink strong wine and drink is a mocker of men. Now, there's context to that, but we all already know strong drink is strong drink. That's pretty straightforward. So if you are that person and you still have drinking in your repertoire and you've endured a narcissistic relationship and you know exactly what you've gone through, I would not chance being under the influence of anything other than the watchful hand of God. Reason why? You're going to need your coherence every single day of the rest of your life. You don't want a chance being unalert. You don't want a chance ending up in the arms of a Jezebel. You don't want to end up, and that's male or female, you don't want to end up going to this party of sorts and just letting it all hang out. Now, if you're that person, you take one drink or two drink and you're okay, and you can still, you're coherent enough to know, see, and you don't let your inhibitions down, because that's what alcohol does. It causes you to lower your inhibitions, and in many ways, I can speak from experience, it causes you to lower your morals, drastically lower your morals. You'll end up in bed with a he-she, thinking it was a she-she. You will end up in bed with someone that you would have never consciously in a sober mind have given a second look to, because it clouds your judgment, it clouds your mind, it alters your rationale. Now, I'm not an expert on alcohol and the effects of it, but I have an experience with it, and I'm able to look back now that I'm out of it 20 something years later. And if any of you all are offended by this video, don't be, because this is just something of an encouragement and an informative video, because this one video may be the one for that person that's listening that has contemplated giving that stuff up, but never ever had the subject broached in a way where they felt like it was worth it. I hope this video is that video. You need your mind to be unclouded, uncluttered, untainted, Stop the justification in how you drink and why you drink. I remember and when I say I remember, this is vague memory, but I remember, I don't know the day or the date or the year or whatever, but I remember when I drank a beer and I tasted a beer for the first time. It was nasty. It was the nastiest thing I've ever drank. Same with cigarettes. And so there was someone around me, I don't know exactly who, someone we so-called may call a friend, partner, road dog, whatever, that said, they saw the look on my face and I was like, I spit it out. It's like, oh man, you'll get used to it. It tastes like that when you first drink it. When someone tells you that, that is a direct indication that they have gone there, done that, been there, and they want you to go too. Now, on my end, I should have just said, man, you know, this is nasty. That's like drinking gas. When you first drank strong liquor. Had that same experience when I drank that, the moonshine. I really didn't like moonshine. That's liquor they make back home in Alabama. A lot of you guys have heard about it, but that is some stuff that'll make you kill your mama and you won't even remember doing it. So is Irk and Jerk, E&J Brandy. So is Crown Royal. These are some alcohols that the grave is full with really, really, you know, very unfortunate stories behind alcohol. And people may say, well, you know, graves got people in it from car accidents. Graves got people in the grave from just natural causes. There are a lot of different, you see, when this dismissive attitude kicks in, that's an indication to you that you're not ready, willing, or even able to detach from alcohol. Because it causes an offense in our life when it's something that we have a love affair with and we're not really ready to give it up with. That's much like when we were involved with a narcissist. We were so addicted to that fake feeling that they gave us. Till your girlfriends was telling you, Susan, you know, look at what he's done to you. You know, you got a plate in your arm, you got, you know, stitches. Look at that scar from, you know, 6 months ago, a year ago that he, you know, from XYZ, he did this. Then you found out he had a baby by another girl. Blah, blah, blah. Susan ends up defending everything good about this monster. Instead of just sitting there accepting what that friend is saying to her, the voice of reasoning. I hope I'm that voice of reasoning for you in this respect with the alcohol. I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to put you down. I'm not here to do anything but talk bad about alcohol because there's nothing good about it. But after a narcissistic abusive relationship, you really shouldn't even consider or entertain the fact or the idea of drinking. Because you'll end up at that birthday party. And some of you all now, looking back, you met that narcissist at a party. And it was a party, not just a party, because parties happen. It was a party unlike any party that you can remember. It was a party that seemingly was lit. It was popping. But undeniably, you looking back saying to yourself, man, everything, I met them and across the hall and across the dance floor and we danced and it was instant bliss. And then you catch yourself real quick when you think back to that night at that party. A couple days later, maybe a week, maybe The next day, you instantly remember all hell broke loose. And where did that person go? Now you know it was all a facade. And here you are today, awakened. 3 kids later, untold amounts of knockdown dragouts. You the empath, both you and the narcissist were in it to win it. Both of you all ended up being drinking partners, drug partners, because that's how you met. And so now you're almost to the point where you're detesting alcohol and the drugs or even the marijuana because you're associating it with when you met them. But then you talk yourself out of what you should be listening to yourself about and saying, man, I need to detach from this and clear my head and keep it clear. You're talking yourself out of the fact that you know you should do this, disengage, but you say, well, no, I was smoking before I met them, I was drinking before I met them. I'm not gonna stop doing the things I was doing just because I happened upon them at a club or whatever, a party, and I was drinking and I had an error in judgment. So you're telling yourself exactly what you need to hear, but you're talking yourself out of what you really need to do. And so that narcissist may not be wholeheartedly the reason why you started drinking and drugging or smoking weed, because you were doing it before you met them. But look at what happened. You allowed the devil inside. You allowed them in the paint. And they began to work on you. So I just believe a clear mind, a clear head equals a clear spirit, a clear direction. And when they say it ain't easy, I mean, this is easier said than done. You know, I gave cigarettes up when I was in prison, 1998. I went on 1-day fast. 10-year habit gone. While incarcerated, I went to NAs, AAs, Narcotics Anonymous, or all of the other stuff that didn't have anything to do with me. I was an alcoholic, functional until I wasn't. So I went to all of these programs, even though they didn't apply to me per se. You know why I went? I went because I needed to see a correlation. I was curious, and I've always been curious. Why does a person do what they do? So I wanted to know why do I do what I do? I'm not a bad person. I was kept talking myself out. It ain't alcohol, it's her. If she just leave me alone, let me drink, I'll be fine. So I began to push myself out of that comfort zone and go to these meetings. I had to learn, what is it? Is it something I'm missing? So I sat there and I listened. And I listened and I shuffled and sifted through the rubbish and all the rhetoric that you hear in these rooms. You fake these people faking it until they make it and this and that. But I went in there with a whole new mindset. I didn't go in there judging their motives and their intention and their lack of sincerity, because that's in the rooms as well. That's in life. But individually, I went in there and listened, and then I did objective and subjective thinking. I did pros and cons. What does, someone told me to do this, write a line down the middle of a sheet of paper, and they say, what were the benefits of drinking and what was the disadvantages and advantages of drinking? And they said, if you can name one good thing about drinking, and they just said, do this with the cigarettes, then keep drinking and keep smoking. But they say you must be critical. You must be critical. You can't just write something that sounds good on paper. You really have to think and brainstorm. And I did that, and I couldn't find out one good thing about alcohol that I yielded from drinking, to be specific. And so I gave it up, cigarettes, 1-day fasting, and I gave up the alcohol. The last time I drank was when I was incarcerated, and that was in 1997. And I just got in these programs because I needed to know what it was. And what I began to realize is it was choice, but it was deeper than that. It was the whole idea of why you drank. The reasons why I drank at the end of my alcoholism were not the reasons why I drank when I began. And matter of fact, I couldn't even remember why I began to drink, other than, like I said in the beginning of this video, it was just something I did because everybody was doing it. And that was not enough to keep drinking. And so I decided to cease and desist. Wasn't certain that I was sober and free of alcohol addiction until I got out, obviously. But God had delivered me from it. And that's when I really, truly experienced what deliverance looks like. And I'm here today in 2025. I've gone through a lot in my life. I lost a brother in 2006. He got murdered, brutally murdered. That wasn't enough to make me entertain the thought. I really never had a thought or an interest in drinking again. You know why? Because I remember so many things that alcohol didn't do for me. In a good way, but did for me in a bad way. And so I tell people this: Bud was wiser than me. Or whatever drink you drank, or whatever beer you drank. And so I found a little humor and stuff like that too, because, you know, I'm not that bah humbug. You know, I'm not the alcohol Grinch. I'm very healthy in my mind. I'm very healthy in my acceptance of what alcohol is, as it is in our environment, what it's used for in many ways. It's a pastime, it's a leisure camaraderie of sorts where people come together, this and that. But for me, I can do those things without alcohol. I don't have to use those excuses to consume alcohol. I know too many bad things that alcohol allowed me to go through, but it was choice, obviously, to grab it and pick it up. But beyond that, you don't have a choice or any skin in the game after that. It's all the alcohol. It's making the decisions for you. So you need a clear mind, simply for the only reason, if no other reason, you have gone through this narcissistic abusive relationship, much like the alcoholic. You're in a fog, and when you finally sober up, you want no part of it anymore. And I hope that this serves as a reminder that if you're yet still drinking, don't assume or believe that alcohol is still going to be good for you in the long run now that the narcissist is away. Because if you're letting your guard down, getting tipsy and getting drunk and ending up in all places that are hotbeds for narcissists anyway. They are drug addicts and alcoholics, full blown. They're drinking for a whole nother set of reasons. They're drinking to drown out the voice that is telling them they're not shish. The voice of truth is pounding on their head constantly, and they're running from that. And how do they get away from it? They medicate with alcohol, drugs, people, things, and places, because they need this fuel supply to divert and distract them from the realities that they're running from. That being said, BLEZZ.